where she has to fill a notebook with her crimes.
A Uyghur
he'd have my vote. Yeah, put the entire MSNBC desk in a Uyghur camp. All right, so that don't exist. Or at the very least, they're safe and effective if they do. All right, so not to be outdone, the U.S. government, see, this is the thing with expanding empire. You run out of money. You run out of money.
That's the problem with socialism.
You drain the treasury.
You run out of other people's money.
Socialism for the military-industrial complex. So Washington is out with cup in hand, pitching its solution.
You live in the desert? You want to get blown up? Call me! Are you a country in the Middle East looking to get bombed? We're here to help. Here at the U.S. government, we've spent decades leveling cities in the desert. Nobody does it better than we do. We get all the nooks and crannies. If we can't invade you ourselves, we'll hire somebody else to do it. We have qualified experts working day and night trying to find new ways to profit off this magnificent business. We even sacrifice our own people in favor of killing you. So if you have a civilization you want wiped off the face of the planet, call me.
All right. So, hey, call them. Call them. If you have a neighboring country that you want to get rid of, we've got the number there, and we've got it in the chat if you want to call.
Hey,
that's right.
By the way,
and that was our very own Chris Keene. Everyone, what are you, Chris G. Keene? That's what it is.
I knew this guy was a plant.
Did Iraq ever thank us for our service? By the way,
I don't think they have. I don't think they have.
Still waiting. Benny Massimo. These are the people I would vote for before I vote for Biden: Donald Trump, Benito Mussolini, Pol Pot, Stalin, and Mao. Is that right? Understand, Benny says. Thank you, Benny, and back to Russ.
Okay, so in the feel-good story of the week, Yemen's Houthis hit U.S.-owned ship in missile attack, U.S. military says. Houthi rebels in Yemen have struck a U.S.-owned and operated container ship with an anti-ship ballistic missile off the coast of Yemen, the United States Central Command said. In a statement on Monday, the U.S. military said no injuries or significant damage were reported and that the Marshall Islands flag Gibraltar Eagle was continuing its journey after the incident in the Gulf of Aden. The Yemeni rebel group has claimed responsibility for the attack. Quote, all American and British ships and warships involved in the aggression against our country are considered hostile targets, military spokesperson Yahya Sari said, before adding that no future American or British attack on Yemen would go unpunished. British maritime security firm Ambry said 3 missiles were reportedly launched by the Houthis, with 2 not reaching the sea and the 3rd striking the bulk carrier. It said that the impact reportedly caused a fire in a hold, but that the bulker remained seaworthy with no injuries on board. It assessed the vessel was not Israel affiliated.
Can I ask you something?
Well, they've expanded their coverage now. Okay, yes, Kurt.
So I've heard about the Houthi rebels for a long time now. Mm-hmm. Did they take over and we're just still calling them the Houthi rebels, or do they only control a part of Yemen?
They control part of Yemen.
Okay.
They control the southern part, I believe. The attack on the ship comes less than a day after the Houthis launched an anti-ship cruise missile towards a U.S. destroyer in the Red Sea, U.S. officials said. The Houthis control western Yemen.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Including the strategically critical Bab al-Mandeb Strait, which leads into the Red Sea and up to the Suez Canal. So this tweet from Matt Wallace. World War III high alert. A U.S.-owned cargo ship was just hit by a missile off the coast of Yemen. With continued escalations of this nature, World War III could break out at any moment. The United States will likely react now with overwhelming force. Stay safe and be prepared for anything.
Me?
Now, we were just talking offline. Apparently, we are sending 1,500 troops where? To Syria and to...
Syria and Iraq.
Gotta say, I'm not
Syria and Iraq.
Middle East Monitor.
They miss us in Iraq. So here's some footage of the ship. I mean, I'm not a Coast Guard guy, but that doesn't seem like a ship that just kind of went on its merry way. But what do I know? Looks like it took a pretty good hit to me.
How many missiles do they? I mean, they have a lot of missiles.
Kurt, your grandfather was an engineer. You can't give us any insight?
Well, you mean like from beyond the grave, or did he impart it to me? No, he didn't.
Channel your grandfather.
Yeah.
So that is drawing first blood. Now, will the United States retaliate in a massive way? I mean, knowing crazy bastards that we are, probably.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Keaton?
Well, yeah, I mean, the most prescient video of 2023 was that clip of Tucker Carlson, saying, you're heading into an election year thinking you're going to get a nice little election between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and it's not going to be that simple. You don't know what the next year brings. And it seems like this year is going to bring upon World War III. Like that is clearly the course we're on. 2024 is an election year. Donald Trump is the favorite to win. The establishment is going to do everything they can to keep him out, including the manufacturing of a certain crisis. We're over here on Rumble, so I can say that with an extra hint at this point.
A black swan?
As to what they did last time. We know what that crisis was last time, do we not? And looks like the crisis this time could be World War III. That seems to be the path that we're on. I don't see why all of this would be happening if it were going to end so benignly as to call it off. When you talk about when we talk about the deep state will stop at nothing to stop Trump, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to whack him. In fact, it likely doesn't mean that. It likely means this kind of shit. You manufacture crises to raise these stakes, generate a panic, and trust that the people are going to want the adults in charge. Now, the problem they're going to have in this context is that the adults are what caused all this shit to break out in the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think that's a winning strategy this time. Because
probably not, but they won't not give it the old college try, I don't think.
I think most people, and that's what's showing up in the polling, most people are more afraid of what Joe Biden will do with another 4 years than what Donald Trump will do with another 4 years. That's what it comes down to. This administration has been so terrifying that people feel safer with Donald Trump.
I do.
So do I, frankly. Kurt?
I mean, how could you not? How is it even a question?
I think that thing of whipping out a war at the last minute. I mean, there's literally every type of play.
Wag the dog.
It always blows me away to think that it's Biden and Trump again. Just the magnitude of that alone. That's the contest. I mean, that should tell you what the whole thing is.
Well, this is something I was saying at that theater party I was at, surrounded by MSNBC libs. I said, look, the system has already failed. It's failed. You're talking about yet another election that looks likely to produce Joe Biden and Donald Trump. What kind of a democracy is it that repeatedly produces the least popular people in the country to stand for office and cannot produce anyone that anyone wants to vote for? They deflect to the liberal bugaboos, which are legitimate, the Electoral College and that kind of thing. They don't want to talk about the idea that the system has collapsed and we need to talk beyond it. Yeah, they'll say, the Electoral College, they'll deflect to what they feel they can frame as something to attack the right wing they see it about, rather than they don't like systemic critiques that cannot be framed as bad Republicans and good Democrats. So they'll process everything through that lens.
It says nonsense is watching Bloods and Crips
right.
Young or BDs and GD gangster. You're like, I mean, do you just think about nonsense all day?
Pretty much. Murder? Pretty much. Only
that last segment we did where the Al Jazeera guy, he said, Biden is counting on the hope that by the time November comes around, people will have forgotten about the genocide in Gaza, and that anger will be replaced with fear of Trump. So what? What are they going to try to scare us with in regards to Trump, that he's mean, that he's rude, that he's going to undermine our institutions. Like that's fairly mild. A world war, create a genuine panic. That seems like the bigger play to me. And look, whether or not it's motivated by the presidential race, it's clearly the desire of those running things right now. They clearly want war. They've wanted it from the second they set foot in that White House. That's really why they didn't like Donald Trump, because he slowed the war machine down. I know that's a controversial statement because he dropped a lot of bombs. Yeah, contractor still got paid. What did he say? He says, we're building up our military. We're building up our military bigger than it's ever been before. We don't want to have to use it, but we're building it up. Well, dipshit, you have to use it, because if you don't use it, then you don't have to buy more down the road. Right. And so, look, you just can't look back at those Trump years and say that those weren't peaceful times relative to now. That's not to say Donald Trump is John Lennon, not to say the man of peace, but you just cannot compare the two. It's night and day, obviously. That's not even an argument. That's not even an argument. You could weigh Donald Trump against Gandhi, right? Or you could measure him against his predecessors and his successor. And in an election year, that context is pretty fucking important to a lot of people.
I think a lot of people who are fans of post-apocalyptic fiction found COVID very disappointing. No roving motorcycle gangs, no leather spiked jackets, none of that. So if we get another apocalypse,
just a lot of fraud.
It was fraudulent. I felt the same way I felt when they have a nuclear meltdown in Japan, and we don't get one giant reptile, not a giant moth, nothing. So we didn't get any of that. So this time I'm expecting the Lord Humongous, if we're going to get another one.
The Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla?
I am the Lord Humongous. I come to you from across the desert wastelands. If we don't get that,
so
I am going to be
Hamas.
pissed. Well, that goes without saying since we're on Rumble. All right, Misha, to you.
Okay, so we got some information. That's actually a ship that was in Sri Lanka in 2021. That footage was not that ship.
Where'd you get it from? Wrongship.com?
Yeah. Say that 5 times fast. That's very hard to say. Wrongship.com.
I was going to tell you, that was actually the barbecue on my uncle's yacht last night.
So that's from Malcolm. And then...
thank you. Thank you, Malcolm.
A Guides or a Gitas, I don't know how to pronounce this name, gave us 2 Rumble rants. One is not the ship. Sorry, Russ. The video is shown is from 2021. It's a Singaporean ship in Sri Lanka. And then same Rumble ranter comes back with the ship involved in the incident is the Red Sea is the Gibraltar Eagle. U.S. Central Command. The ship has reported no injuries or significant damage.
Well, you know what this means? We spread...
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit